Hi friends, Krista here. Thanks for stopping by Books and Jams. Today I'm going to be sharing all of my possibilities for series September. Normally you will see them all stacked here behind me, but I've pulled them down so that I can talk about these books. These are all series that I own, that I'm working on, that I would like to make progress on. I don't know which of these I'm actually going to choose in the month of September to read. I'm just giving myself a little bit of wiggle room to mood read, but also would like to meet all 9 of the prompts. I'm not sure I'm going to read 9 different books in series. I mean, that would be awesome, but there are a lot of these that can double up and fit different prompts. So let's just get started. I'm going to share with you the books that I have as possibilities for each of the prompts. Hello, friends. Editing Krista here because I realized after posting my first September TBR and now working on my series September TBR that I have 2 books that I totally forgot to mention. And they're important and they're definitely going to get read, so I wanted to include them here. The first one actually should have been in my first video because it's my patron book club pick for the month of September, and that is The Exiles by Christina Baker Klein. I'm very excited to read this one. It is a relatively new release. It is set first on a boat and then in Australia. And we are going to learn a little bit about Australian history, and we're going to follow, I believe, 3 women whose lives interconnect. And I'm so excited that this is the book that my patrons picked for the month of September. I'm very, very eager to read this, and it will most definitely get read during the month. If you are interested in reading this with my patron book club, feel free to check out the link down below about my Patreon. I'd love to have you. The second book that I forgot to mention is actually a part of a series. It's also part of the Lunar Along that I'm participating in, which is a read-along of the Lunar Chronicles. And for September, we're reading book 2, which is Scarlet. This is a young adult sci-fi series, and each of the 4 books, Cinder, Scarlet, Cress, and Winter, kind of take a fairy tale character and weave it into this sci-fi story. And so Scarlet is going to be Little Red Riding Hood's story. Cinder was the first book and I absolutely loved it. I have actually read this series before, but it's been over 5 years and I'm really, really thrilled to read it again. So I will be most definitely reading Scarlet during the month of September, and I just forgot to include it. Thanks for letting me pop in to include those 2 books. Now I will send you back over to see the rest of the books that are possibilities for series September. The first prompt I'm going to talk about is read a book in a series that you haven't touched in over a year. So I have 4 here to share with you. I have Ash and Quill by Rachel Kane. This is the Great Library series. This is book 3 in that series. And to be honest, it's probably been 2 or 3 years since I've read the first 2 books in the series. I would probably need to start over and read book 1, but this is a possibility. This series is a possibility. I have City of Stars, which is book 2 in the Stravaganza series by Mary Hoffman. This is a middle grade time travel series. At least the first book included time travel. The first book is called City of Masks, and I really enjoyed it. So this is a possibility. It's been maybe 3 or 4 years since I've read the first one in this series too. I do remember quite a bit of it, which is nice. A rarity for me. I have book 3 in the Land of Stories. I haven't touched this in over a year. This is by Chris Colfer. It's another middle grade series where this brother and sister learn that they have the ability to enter the Land of Stories, which is a fairy tale world. So I haven't touched this series in over a year. And the last one for this prompt is A Gathering of Shadows, which is book 2 in the Shades of Magic series. The first one is A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab. And this is another fantasy where there are 4 parallel Londons, each with a different level of magic. You're not supposed to travel between the different worlds, between the different Londons, but we follow Kel. Kel? Yes, Kel. We follow Kel, who has the ability to travel between worlds, and he is kind of a smuggler. You're not supposed to bring anything between the different Londons, and he does, and he makes money off of it, profits from it, but yeah, there's a bit of an adventure that goes along with that. It's been well over a year since I started this series as well. So those are all very, very good possibilities for that prompt. The next prompt is to read a book in the most recent series that you started. In August, I did start The School for Good and Evil. It was a library book. I'm hoping to read from my shelves for all of these prompts. So the most recent series that I started that I own books in that series is the Keeper of Lost Cities series. These are really new purchases from Book Outlet. I'm going to be starting Exile, which is book 2 in the series. I'm actually starting it today. So I'm not sure if I'll finish this one by September or not. So I'll either finish this one up, but I do have book 3 as well. I think Everblaze is book 3. So I do have the next one in the series. So this will be read regardless, because it is the most recent series that I've started that I own the books for. The next prompt is to start a series, and I do have a couple series that are very much on my radar. I would like to start Robin Hobb's next trilogy, which is the Live Ship Traders trilogy, and the first of those is Ship of Magic. This is a bit of a chunker, and since I'm finishing up Les Mis in September, I'm not sure I want to pick up another chunker, but I'm very, very interested in starting this next trilogy in the realm of the Elderlings, which is her fantasy world that she's created. So that's a possibility. But another middle grade fantasy series that I'd like to read is the Wingfeather Saga by Andrew Peterson. The first book is On the Edge of the Dark Sea of Darkness. So that is a very real possibility as well. I'm very interested in this series, and I love a printed hardcover. So that makes me want to read it even more. The next prompt is to finish a series, and I have a couple here that would finish series. They are also all duologies, which is the next prompt. So if I could read any of these 4, it would finish a series and read a book that's in a duology. So those are Fly Away by Kristen Hanna. This follows Firefly Lane, which is a story of friendship for sure. I've heard to skip this one, but I don't want to skip it. I own it. I want to read it. But I've heard that if I was angry at the way it looked like Firefly Lane was headed towards the end, that I really wouldn't enjoy this one. But I gotta tell you that hearing that just makes me want to read it even more and find out if I'm gonna like it or not. So we'll see. But Fly Away is a possibility. Force of Nature by Jane Harper is a follow-up to The Dry. I believe it follows the same character, Aaron Falk, who was one of the main characters in The Dry. So I'm very interested in this one. That would finish that little duology. I have a World War II historical fiction duology. This is A Sparrow in Terezin, which is a Hidden Masterpieces novel. And I believe it's kind of more of a companion rather than a sequel. It's a companion to The Butterfly and the Violin, which I've read twice, but I never picked up this follow-up book, A Sparrow in Terezin. So I would be very interested in reading this one. And then another middle grade by Ella Montgomery. This is The Golden Road. This one is a follow-up to The Story Girl, which I really enjoyed. So I just love these editions too. It's so pretty. So I'm very interested in reading The Golden Road. So all 4 of these would not only finish a series, but be a part of a duology. So I'm not sure there's any other trilogies that I'm at the end of. So I think finish a series is going to have to be a duology for me, even though duology is not a very long series. It's only 2 books, but it is what it is. Another prompt that we have is to read 2 books in the same series. And I have 2 middle grade series that I really want to read. One of them is a reread for me. That is the Shadow Children sequence, I think it's called, by Margaret Peterson Haddix. And this first one is Among the Hidden. I believe there are 5 books in this series. It would be really fun, and I may try to do this. It would be really fun to take a weekend and just knock out all 5 of them. That would be reading 2 books in the same series. It would be starting a series. It would be finishing a series. It would be reading a second book in a series. Like, there's a lot of prompts that I could check off the bingo board if I do that. But that's a possibility. I really, really want to reread this series. It's kind of a dystopian type of book. Luke had never been to school. He's never had a birthday party or gone to a friend's house overnight. In fact, he has never had a friend. He is one of the Shadow Children, a 3rd child forbidden by the population police. He's lived his entire life in hiding, and now with a new housing development replacing the woods next to his family farm, he no longer is even allowed to go outside. Then one day Luke sees a girl's face in the window of the house where he knows 2 other children already live. Finally, he's met another shadow child like himself. Jen is willing to risk everything to come out of the shadows. Does Luke dare to become involved in her dangerous plan? Can he afford not to? I am very excited to reread that. I honestly don't remember much about it at all. It's probably been 15 years or more since I've read this series. I'm really, really interested in reading it again. And the other middle grade series I'd like to read 2 or more books from is the Book of 3. This is the Chronicles of Prydain by Lloyd Alexander. Book 5, I believe it's book 5, is a Newbery winner. And then I think book 3 is on the honor list. But I don't want to start with book 3 or book 5. I obviously have to start with book 1. So I would like to read, this is a fantasy series as well. They're middle grade. They're going to be short and sweet. It would be easy to knock out 2 books in that series as well. So we'll see. We'll see where the mood strikes. Another prompt is to read the second book in a series. And some of these that I've already mentioned are the second books, but one that I haven't yet mentioned is Lost Fairy Tales, The Lost Fairy Tales, which is the second book in the Pages & Co. series by Anna James. I loved Tilly and the Book Wanderers, or the Book Wanderers as it's called here in the US, and I'm very excited to continue this series. So this is pretty high up there on my hopeful reading list during the month. In the first book, we meet Tilly, who lives with her grandparents in their bookshop, and Tilly discovers that her family has this ability to not only jump into some of their favorite books, but their characters from their favorite books can come out and speak with them as well. She learns kind of about this whole underground society called the Book Wanderers, I believe. And this book is going to focus more on fairy tales. So I'm just really excited about that. It sounds really sweet, and I loved the first one. So definitely have high hopes for this one as well. There's a prompt to read a book in a series that has more than 5 books. I have quite a few. I have quite a few series that are long that I am kind of in the middle of. And one of them is the Armand Gamache Three Pines Mystery Chief Inspector Gamache novel. I've heard it called lots of different things. It's a series by Louise Penny. Armand Gamache is our main detective that is involved in all of these murderous cases. This one is How the Light Gets In. I believe it's book 9. And I have heard from a lot of people that this one is their absolute favorite. I really loved book 8, The Beautiful Mystery. And so I'm really excited if this is going to even be better than book 8. That's fantastic. But I have heard from a lot of people that it takes a turn in book 9. Like, I think one of the story arcs from the first few books gets wrapped up. So I am just really excited to continue with this series. I love that I'm 9 books in. I'm making progress, folks. It's a fantastic series. Another series that I am in the middle of, that I read a ton from last summer that I did kind of a binge of these books. This is a series by Melanie Dickerson. This is The Warrior Maiden. When it first came out, I believe it was called the Hagenheim series, but then it just kept going and going. And now it's I think a young adult fairy tale. What does she call it? Young adult fairy tale romance series. This is The Warrior Maiden. I believe it's a Mulan retelling. Each book kind of is connected to the other ones, but they are companions and not sequels necessarily. They started out more as sequels. It's just set in the same world. So you will see some overlap of characters and things like that, but each story can stand alone at this point. Earlier on, they kind of followed each other, but now they're a little bit more standalone. So I'm just excited to continue. I think I have 3 more in this series. It would be awesome to knock that out as well. I own at least one other. So we'll see. But that has 8 or 9 books in it as well. And then another option, which honestly I'm not sure I'm going to do unless I listen to the audiobook. But this is book 3 in the Outlander series. It's Voyager by Diana Gabaldon. I read book 1 in January of 2019. And then last year I listened to Dragonfly and Amber book 2. And so maybe I need to read this one this year. We shall see. But I listened to the audio of Dragonfly and Amber and I really enjoyed reading it that way. So I may just try to find the audio for Voyager 2 and listen to it. It is huge, friends. It's huge. It will be a really long audio, but I am interested in continuing this story. And I believe there are 9 books in this series as well. I know that it's more than 5 for sure. So that would fulfill that prompt if that's what I decide to pick up. I think I've covered all the prompts. Read a book in a series you haven't touched in a year. Read a book in the most recent series you've started. I lost my place. Start a series, finish a series. Read a book in a duology. Read a book in a series longer than 5 books. Read the second book in a series. Read 2 books in the same series. Oh, read your newest purchase that's part of a series. I'm not sure what that would be. I know that some of these Keeper of the Lost Cities books came in my most recent book outlet order, so I can count those. Somehow I have 2 books here that I haven't talked about yet. So let me just really quick show you. These could fit some of the prompts as well. When We Left Cuba by Chanel Clayton is the sequel to Next Year in Havana. So it would be a second book in a series. If I feel like I'm in a historical fiction mood, this could be a good fit for that. And I believe we follow the granddaughter. We're in 1960s Florida. A young Cuban exile will risk her life and heart to take back her country in this exhilarating historical novel. So yeah, I'm very eager to read that one. And then the other one that I have is a kind of a historical mystery by Jacqueline Winspear. This also is a series that has more than 5 books in it. This is book 3, Pardonable Lies. And it's a Maisie Dobbs novel. Maisie Dobbs is the name of the first book in the series. And I really liked Maisie Dobbs. And I like Birds of a Feather, which was book 2. So I'm very eager to continue. If you are a fan of the Armand Gamache mystery series, I believe this kind of has the same vibe, but add in a historical element to it. Maisie Dobbs is a amateur detective, not an amateur detective. She has her own detective agency that she's started. And so we're following her on the cases, but she deals a lot with the psychology of what's going on. She deals with the whys just as much as the hows of what happened. So she's not just trying to solve the crime, but to get to the why of what's going on behind the scenes and in the minds and stuff like that. So, and she has kind of I don't want to call it a sixth sense, but she really goes with her gut and she has a really strong intuition. And I just really appreciate that aspect of these books. So I'm hoping to get to more of these as well. So that is a lot of books. And clearly I'm not going to be reading all of them in the month of September, but those are some of my possibilities. They will all be sitting up here on my series shelf. And when I'm ready to pick up a new one, I will pick it up. So in some of my vlogs throughout the month, you will see what I'm reading. I will share. I'm not going to hide it until the end of the month. Like, you will see along the way what I decide to pick up. I may ask for your help in a community tab, maybe a poll or something to help me pick some books. We'll make it a little bit interactive, my series September reading. But I'm really excited to knock out some series. I was hoping to kind of show you my series page, my series tracker in my book journal, but I cannot find my book journal anywhere. I have no idea where it is. Clearly, I'm not using it all that often because I just don't know where it is. So I have actually ordered a new one from Amazon and I'm going to start fresh, which feels good. I'm excited about that. So this one was really old anyway. I was kind of using an old journal. I didn't love it. Maybe that's part of why I wasn't using it. So I will start fresh and make a new series page. So at some point in the month of September, you will see that. And yeah, we're just going to go for it. We're going to try to knock out. I know I had a goal of reading at least 10, or I guess my goal for 2021 was kind of similar to 2020, where I just wanted to make progress in my series. I didn't give myself a number or any specifics about it. I just wanted to make progress in some series. So this month is when that's going to happen. I have done very little work on this series shelf this year. So I'm really hoping to get to a handful of these throughout the month of September. So I would love to chat with you in the comments below. Are you participating in series September? What are some series that you hope to make progress in? Are you somebody like me that has a lot of open series? I mean, I just showed you a lot of series that I'm in the middle of. I would like to make some good progress this month. So let's chat about series. I'm really excited to have you join in with Sarah and I during this series adventure. Let's do it. Remember, even if you read one book that's a part of a series, you're in. So this is super low key. Use the bingo board if you want. I will again link the Google Doc down below that has all the information and everything written out if you'd like to join us. You do not have to be on BookTube or Instagram to join. Just read a book that's in a series and you're in. If you are making a video or posting on Instagram, we would love for you to use the hashtag Series September so that we can follow along with your journey as well. Let's chat in the comments below. And that is it for today. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you, and I look forward to talking with you in another video very soon. Bye.